The second season of the dystopian survival thriller horror series begins with Song Ji-hun. After 3 years of winning Squid Game, Ji-hun was at the airport about to leave with his prize money, but he got a call from the front man, telling him he has nowhere to go, and he's going to regret not getting on that plane. Ji-hun vowed to find the front man, after which he boarded a taxi and told the driver to take him to Seoul. He imminently arrived there, but on getting to the bathroom he searched his body thoroughly to see if he has been bugged, and he eventually found it, so using a blade he removed the tracking device from his body. Junho on the other hand woke up in the hospital after evading death. His mum was right there with him, and on noticing he's awake she scurried to call the doctors. 2 years later, Junho is now a traffic police officer. After his work for the day, the chief of police visited him. The chief insisted he comes back to major crimes as he's wasting his talents on the road, but Junho kept on refusing because he felt the police are incompetent, as they couldn't seem to find out anything about the Squid Game he earlier reported to them about. According to the chief, to get the higher-ups to believe that story, he needs to show some evidence. Junho eventually got home after a long day, but the incident at the island still kept on lingering in his head, and it was at this moment he remembered his shooter's name to be Inho. Jae-hun was stationed at his apartment, monitoring the movement of every single person that passes by, but then he heard someone knocking at his door. It was awfully weird for him as he couldn't see who was knocking through his security system, and the buzzing intensified. He got closer to the door with a gun in his hand, and it was then the buzzing stopped. Instantaneously he picked up a Squid Game letter from underneath his door. Jae-hun was perplexed as to how this happened, and on opening the door he saw the front man right there with the heads of his previous teammates. Not long after he woke up discovering it was a dream, but then he started hearing a buzz at his door for real this time. This got him ultimately frightened, but when he checked to see who it was, he unearthed it was the guy running investigations for him. According to the Kim, they scoured through all the subway stations but still couldn't find anything. They've been searching for 2 years now, but still no sign of the front man and his crew, so Ji-hun suggested they need more eyes and bid to extend the search. To motivate the investigator he gave him a bag load full of money. Ji-hun told him he got that business card around this time of the year, so if they're still hosting the game he'll be starting to recruit new players. The investigator afterwards headed into his van with whole new strict instructions for his crew. Members of his crew felt this whole story doesn't add up, but he felt something was not right, as all the people who borrowed his money has either vanished or gone missing. According to him, Song promised them a 1 billion won reward if only they could find the frontman, so he told his crew they'll get half the money if they find him, after which they drove off. The next day, Junho headed to the docks and bid to continue his search for the mystery island. According to Captain Huang, they've searched literally everywhere for this island for the past 2 years, but still weren't able to locate it, so Junho narrowed down a few places he felt they haven't checked due to weather conditions. It is now we discover it was Huang who rescued him from the water, where he was left to die. At Sunshine Capital, Weo-suk gave the rest of his crew a pep talk on the person there to look for. He narrated to them how the guy operates, from innocently carrying a briefcase, to giving people a business card just like the one he was holding. After his speech, the whole crew took pictures of the mannequin, after which the boss, Mr. Kim, gave them an insight of where they'll be covering today. Mr. Kim exerted that the team who tracks down the recruiter gets 500 million won as a bonus, then the thugs jeered in excitement. The entire crew, all packed with fresh motivation, scurried towards their various vehicles to commence the search. They kept Song in loop, informing him about every single move they make, while Junho on the other hand continued his search for the mystery island. The search continued for weeks, but with the same outcome each passing day. After the search proved fruitless, Junho decided it's time to call it quits, as he has virtually tried everything he could. Mr. Kim and Weo-suk were having dinner in the subway after a long day of search, but then, something keen caught their attention. They saw the exact man Song described for them at the other side of the subway, so they called Song almost immediately to inform him. On hearing this he told them to stay on his tail and keep him updated, while he heads out to join them. The recruiter has already gotten to more than one person, as a young he was holding the Squid business card at the hospital. The recruiter this time used different tactics than the ones he used previously, as he approached different places not limiting himself to the subway. Mr. Kim kept the recruiter at close call, as they followed his every move while keeping Song in loop. The recruiter approached different low-lifers, giving them a tough choice of choosing between a bread roll and a lotto ticket. Many of them chose the lotto ticket over the bread roll, and it seemed this was a kind of experiment. After his charade, he stood at the middle of the square and threw all the bread rolls on the floor, telling them it was their choice to waste this, after which he aggressively stomped on the rolls till they were completely spoiled. Song was on his way to the location, but then he was pulled over by a cop car. Junho was part of the officers who pulled him over, but he told his subordinate to handle this one while he sits it out. As this was happening, the recruiter had already got away in a vehicle, but Mr. Kim kept on following as they bribed a taxi to follow the cab he boarded. Song hastily collected his ticket and zoomed off, and his actions left the officers perturbed. On checking his ID, Junho saw his name and unearthed they were in the game together. Mr. Kim and Weo-suk decided to take him on by themselves, as if they wait any longer, they'll lose him and their 500 million won. They imminently got to the man, but he effortlessly knocked both of them out. Junho on the other hand went back to base to make further research on Song. During the research he saw Song pictures, and that was when he had flashbacks on when he was begging him to help find his brother. Song imminently arrived at the location Kim pinned for him, but was too late as he saw they had already been knocked out. Unbeknownst to him, the recruiter was observing closely from a rooftop. The recruiter was able to capture Kim and Woo-suk, and he held them in captivity while they were simpering in fright. The recruiter played a game of Russian roulette with them, insisting anyone who loses at the rock, paper, scissors game would have a high chance at death. The game went on, but each time he attempts to shoot the loser they get lucky, so he decided to up the odds by adding 4 more bullets, making their odds at death 5 and 6. Mr. Kim refused to be bullied into making a harsh decision, so he got disqualified, and it was then he met his death. Woo-suk was left whimpering profusely on the sight of this. Junho, on the other hand, was able to track down Kim's operational facility, but it was locked completely, so he chose to infiltrate the place through the window. On getting in, he unearthed they have been tracking the same people as him, but then, other thugs returned from their expedition. Junho hid pretty well, and he was able to evade the thug's sight, after which he continued his research. Jae-hun arrived at his house almost immediately, but he quickly noticed his home had been compromised. On getting in, he saw the recruiter standing there staring at his calendar. They liaised for quite a while, and it was then the recruiter told him the story of how he became their lapdog. He was part of the people incinerating dead bodies from the games, but then, one day he was giving a gun to become the con. As they were conversing, Junho had already tracked down Song's house. The recruiter suggested they play the Russian roulette game, the same one where Kim lost his life. According to him, they take turn at shooting themselves till someone gets unlucky, and Song agreed to the terms. The game went on, but the recruiter eventually ended up at the losing end, and that was how the first episode ended. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. Thank you.